Welcome to Linden Capital Advisors, where financial freedom is just around the corner. Today we'll be taking a look at the risk management plan for Mark and Debbie Brown. First of all, we'll take a look at their current risk management plan, and then we'll move into the more specific pieces, which are their current health insurance coverage, next their long-term care insurance coverage, and then their current life insurance situation, followed by their current disability insurance coverage, and lastly, we'll talk about their current property and casualty coverage. This here shows their overall risk management plan. So we're going to talk about 5 specific areas, which are health insurance, long-term care insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, and property and casualty insurance. As you can see, they do have coverage in 4 of the 5 areas. However, they don't have any current coverage for long-term care insurance, and there are additional gaps in some of their other areas of insurance, but specifically, they do not currently have any long-term care insurance, and this is one of the major gaps in their current risk management plan. Here we're taking a look at Mark and Debbie's health insurance coverage, and they currently have an HMO plan, which is Health Maintenance Organization Plan, and it's the Select Health of Texas plan. It comes at a cost of $4,320 in annual premium, and then a $500 annual deductible for each of them, and an out-of-pocket maximum of $7,050 for each of them, as this plan provides the health coverage that they need and is an in-network, out-of-network plan that typically saves them money when they are referred to or see an in-network provider. One of the things we'll want to take a look at moving forward is when Mark retires and then they begin their Medicare coverage. Want to make sure that they have sufficient coverage throughout their retirement years and make sure that we add additional coverage in the case that Medicare does not cover what they need. Also, we have the assumptions here that Mark continues to have this plan or a similar plan throughout the next 3 years so that they're covered up until that point that they retire. Now let's take a look at their long-term care insurance coverage. So they don't currently have any long-term care coverage, and so we want to get an idea of what are their costs of care. And we can use calculators online to get an idea of how much a stay would cost if Mark or Debbie were to have some kind of chronic illness. And then once we have an idea of how much that would cost, we can then calculate what kind of benefit they would need. So using that cost of care calculator, we might figure that they would need maybe $150,000 to $170,000 worth of benefit, and looking at an initial benefit here of $165,000 for each of them, that would cost Mark about $3,100 per year in annual premium, and Debbie about $5,300 per year in premium. So what's important here, though, is that a combined plan would cost about $7,200. So there would be savings for them if they were to implement a combined long-term care insurance plan. Here we have their life and accidental death and dismemberment insurance. So Mark has life insurance and AD&D insurance through his employer, Texas Tech University. Right now he has about a $400,000 benefit plus an additional $5,000 in life insurance coverage, and he also has about $5,000 in AD&D insurance. So when we look at their life insurance coverage, we want to get an idea of how much coverage they have versus how much they need. And looking at the human life value approach, we can see that they would need something more along the lines of 1.4 or 1.5 million. And so to close that gap of about 1 million, we could add a term life insurance policy to their plan. However, if we also factor in their current retirement assets, and given the fact that they're both over age 59 and a half, essentially their coverage is nullified given the fact that they have about $1.5 million in retirement assets, excluding Debbie's inherited IRA. In addition to this, we'll also want to consider life insurance for estate planning purposes, and this is something that we'll get into later down the road. Taking a look now at their disability insurance coverage. So Mark has short-term disability and long-term disability coverage through his employer at Texas Tech University. He has a benefit of $6,600 monthly of short-term coverage and a benefit of about $6,000 monthly of long-term disability coverage. And their monthly dedicated expenses are just under $7,000. So their coverage is close to 100% of about what they spend each month. However, we typically look to cover about 60% to 70% of their total income, which in this case is Mark's salary of $250,000. So any gap that exists here, we'll want to make recommendations to close those gaps. And next we have their car insurance. So Mark has his 2020 Lexus RX, Debbie has her 2022 Lexus ES. They both have annual premiums of $1,080 and benefits or coverage of $30,6025. We want to make sure that they're fully covered with the rising costs of damage or harm due to accidents. So any gaps that exist here, we're going to look to add coverage to. And last, we have their property insurance. So this maps out the kind of coverage they currently have. Dwelling coverage of $300,000, other structures coverage of $25,000, personal property of $120,000, loss of use of $100,000, and personal liability coverage of $300,000, and finally medical payments to others of $5,000. This all comes at a cost of $3,000 per year in premium. One thing of particular note is that their house is listed at a value of about $600,000, and their dwelling coverage is about $300,000, so about half of their current value. So any gaps that exist here in their property and casualty insurance, we'll be looking to close those as well. Ultimately, our goal here is to help the Brown family achieve financial freedom by making sure that they're fully protected against the risk of loss through a sound risk management plan. And hopefully they'll be able to leap for joy once they hit that retirement phase and can live their best retirement lifestyle.